Hi guys, welcome back to DownShift Throttle. In today's video, I want to introduce you to the Honda Civic Type R FK8 and somehow try and compare this to the FK2. Now, over the last couple of months since this car has been launched, a lot of people have been kind of trying to weigh out the pros and cons about the FK8 over the FK2, and in this video that's exactly what I'm going to try and address. So Honda Civic Type R FK8, finished in polished metal grey. The aero on this car is just as crazy as it was on the FK2. But I think what Honda have actually done this time is they've actually left the holes open, especially around this front end here. You can actually put your fingers right through it. There's a lot of plastic on this car which, in my opinion, shouldn't really be there. Apologies, the car's ignition is on, so the auto wipers have just come on. For the first time, it's actually got a bonnet scoop. It's not too big, it's not going to win any awards, but it's there anyway. And I think from the front it just gives you that little bit more aggression. Brembo brakes, and this time the car's got 20-inch wheels. I mean, the 19-inch wheels were really prone for like curb marks and potholes and, you know, getting chipped all the time. I mean, these ones, only time will tell. I mean, these tyres, again, they're the Continental Sport Contact 6s. Quite a grippy tyre, but probably only get about 6,000 miles out of them. You got the Brembo brakes, 20-inch alloy wheels, crazy stuff that. I quite like this colour because it literally complements the kind of black trimmings all the way around it. And check this out, you've got these vortex generators up here. Apparently what Honda says, when the airflow goes over it, it kind of spins the air and then it kind of exits through the spoiler at the back for, you know, obviously cornering speed. The back end of the Civic Type R is a bit hit and miss. I mean, it's got that big wing, which is quite nice. It's got those vortex generators, but what I'm not a big fan of is these kind of plastic kind of trims. They're pointless. I mean, you've got like the parking sensors in them, but you know, plastic just doesn't do it for me. I mean, you got this kind of nice splitter, which again, fake carbon, but it's there anyway. And then you've got this diffuser, looks awesome. And obviously, if you haven't noticed, you've got 3 exhaust pipes. I personally think that the quad exhaust pipes on the FK2 look better than having the 3, but again, Honda say that the third one is there to kind of take care of that kind of boominess, the boomy sort of sound that you normally get in the FK2. I've driven this car for about an hour. I have not really noticed that, you know, it kind of reduces the boominess. But obviously, if Honda say it's there for that reason, then I'm sure it's there for that reason. So that was the exterior. Now let's go and have a look at the interior. The first thing that you notice is that these front seats are pretty much the same as what we had in the FK2. Now the only thing I'll say about these is that they're a little bit wider on the bucket, and these side bolsters here, they're a bit softer, so you don't feel like, you know, you're completely like stuck in them. And also they sit a little bit lower, because in the FK2 you had the fuel tank sitting right under the front seats. The fuel tank now has been moved into the back seats, so these, you get a real nice driving position. So the first thing that you notice is you don't have a kind of a double sort of dash layer anymore. Everything is all right in front of you where it should have been. So you've got like the temperature gauge, you've got the speedo, you've got the rev counter, you've got the fuel gauge. Now it looks like I've just lost a bit of pressure in one of the tyres, but that's just a minor issue anyway. You got a really nice driving position. These kind of controls on the steering wheel do feel a bit cheap. You got a nice 6-speed manual gearbox, you know, and when you're rolling the gears, it feels quite short. It actually feels shorter than what you had in the FK2. This is the GT model, so it does come with the wireless charging. So what Honda have actually introduced is like a drive mode. So you've got a comfort, sport, and then the plus R mode. Now what that essentially does is when you're in comfort mode here, you get something coming up on there which kind of states that all the car, if I just put that back into comfort mode, it kind of states that the suspension and the engine is all kind of in comfort mode, so you're getting a nice supple kind of a ride. If I move that into sport, which is the default setting, then the car is kind of set up with suspension in sport, the engine in like say normal kind of response mode, and then when you turn everything up to plus R, then that's when it becomes, everything gets turned up to like say 11 or 12. So that that's proper hardcore. So yeah, you've got some fake stitching going on over there. The rest of like say the kind of touch points seem to be fine. This is the GT model, so it comes with like say the loud sound system. It comes with the sat nav. I mean, this system is pretty rubbish, to be honest with you. I think what Honda did have in the previous ones were like the hard buttons, but this is all touch. Now when you're on the fly and you're trying to touch everything, it just becomes quite annoying. The overall interior quality seems to be okay, but then you got this kind of cheap plastic here. I mean, just listen to this, scratchy. If you try and click it, it really hurts your fingers. I mean, this car is something like 35k with this GT pack. It certainly doesn't feel like a 35k car sitting inside here anyway, but what you're actually paying for is the whole kind of drive, the technology that's under the bonnet, etc. Talking about the engine, let's go and have a look at that. So here's the FK8's power plant, a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine producing 320 PS, it's 316 brake horsepower, 400 Newton meters of torque. It's quite an appealing unit. When you open the bonnet, you get a nice bit of red plastic. It's quite nice actually. I mean, if you've seen like the engine bay off that new Renault Megane RS, I mean that just looks a mess. So compared to that, this is awesome. One thing I don't like is, come on Honda, what's all this about? So guys, that's enough rambling from me about the exterior and the interior and the engine bay. What we're going to do now is get this car on the open road, and we're going to go through the kind of drive modes, comfort, sport and the plus R mode, and also talk a little bit about how this car really differs in terms of handling compared to the FK2. So another thing this car has is rev matching. So when you're dropping the gears down from a higher gear to a lower gear, it kind of rev matches the car, so the engine speed matches the gearbox speed. Now what I will do some point of view shots to show you how that actually works. It's a bit artificial, but it's a feature that you can turn off if you are a hardcore driver and you want to do rev matching yourself. So guys, the first thing that you actually notice is when you're driving this FK8 over the FK2 is actually how low you actually sit. I mean, the FK2 had a great driving position, but with this one you actually do sit even a little bit more lower, and everything is actually laid out right in front of you. There's no kind of silly 2-tier kind of dashboard system. Everything's right in front of you where it should be, so you do get that real nice driving position. So currently we're actually in comfort mode. In fact, I've just changed it down into comfort mode because the default settings is always sport mode. I think comfort mode, it's a good blend between, like say, the suspension setup, the engine kind of responsiveness. It just seems to be fine, especially when you're just driving around town where you've got, British battered roads, etc. That was one gripe that I had off the FK2. It was always like quite harsh. So in this, at least you've got that option where you can actually just put it into comfort mode, and the suspension is quite supple. You can enjoy the actual drive and use it pretty much on a daily basis, a little bit more than what you could with the FK2. So I'm going to flick it into sport mode. There you go, hopefully you've got that over there. It feels a little bit more responsive. The suspension just feels a little bit more sharper. You can feel the bumps coming through a little bit more. But one thing I'll say is this steering is actually really sharp. You point the car in a direction and it literally just goes, exactly the same as it was in the FK2, and they've kind of tuned it a little bit more with this car. This car is a little bit wider, the tyres are a little bit wider, so it is going to grip the road a little better. So guys, what I'm going to do here is, I'm not going to do a launch, but I'm going to show you how this trick suspension actually works. Hands are going to be off, here you go. and I'm going to floor the car, and I'm going to see how much this car actually understeers. So all in first gear. Look at that. The steering is dead straight. It's got to turn you a little bit, obviously it bends in the road, but the steering is absolutely dead straight. How Honda have done that? Unbelievable. Trick suspension in this car, limited slip diff, literally counters any understeer, and it works absolutely brilliantly. That in the FK2 you would still get a little bit of torque steer, not much, but a little. In this car it's completely eliminated, completely. Front wheel drive, limited slip diff, literally you get that feeling of it, sort of tugging you straight into the corner, exactly like the way you did in the FK2. I mean, I don't really get that feeling anymore in my BMW M140i because it's rear wheel drive, there's no, LSD. But in this, you do feel like you're actually driving a race car. A race car that you can actually now use on the road because of these 3 drive modes. I think Honda have actually nailed this. By introducing a drive mode, it actually makes the Type R a little bit more flexible in terms of everyday use. You can use this car now as a daily basis, commuting to work, dropping the kids off to school, going over, like say, battered UK roads, potholes, etc. Probably wouldn't say go over potholes because you're going to scuff those 20-inch alloy wheels, but you get what I mean. With the FK2, I know I drove it every day as a daily car, but there were times where I was kind of thinking this is a little bit extreme. Going over UK battered roads into potholes and the whole car just jiggers about. Certainly didn't give me the impression it was a 35k car. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to keep it in sport mode, but I'm going to downshift, and hopefully you're going to be able to hear the rev matching in progress. Show you this rev matching, drop it down the gear, there you go, does it all itself. Quite a good feature that. There you go, rev matching. This rev matching, I love that. I mean, overall, like the pedals are a little bit more closely positioned than they were in the FK2, so you can do the rev matching yourself in this. But as a novice driver, I mean, I'm not an expert. As a novice driver, you can literally do this kind of rev matching, have it all set up so you look like a hero when you're actually a zero. So here's my gripe about the 3 drive modes in this car. I think overall it's a great feature. Honda have done the right thing by introducing this. It gives the driver a little bit more kind of flexibility in how they want to drive the car, whether it be comfort, sport, plus R. On the track, plus R works a treat, no doubt about that. I used to use my car in plus R mode around the track. The way he takes the corners, unbelievable. But what I mean by that, they've actually missed a trick on this, is that there's no individual settings. So when you're in comfort mode, everything is literally like tuned down. The engine note, the suspension, the throttle response, it's all kind of tuned down, which is great. But I would rather have the engine response in, like, say, plus R mode. I would like to have the suspension in, say, comfort mode, and the throttle response again possibly in plus R. So I kind of think Honda have kind of missed a kind of trick, and the competition out there, Golf R, S3, BMW M140i, give you that option. It is an option on those cars, but at least it's there. You can tailor your car to your liking. The issue that I've got with this car is that the exhaust sound is still not as tuneful as you'd want it to be. It doesn't pop, it doesn't bang. The 3 exhaust pipes at the back don't really win it for me. You know, I still prefer the quads on the FK2. I mean, it's different, you know, you either get 2 or you get 4, you don't get 3 in many cars, you know, so it is different, but it doesn't really add any value. I mean, if it was like 3 exhaust pipes and, you know, you'd get a nice kind of a rumble, I'd get it, but in this there isn't. So it's another kind of opportunity missed, to be honest with you. So guys, let's address the biggest elephant in the room, which isn't me, by the way. Is this car better than the FK2? Right, this is gonna come as a bit of a surprise to many of you, because I know you all love the FK2, and so do I. This car is probably, I'd say, anything between 20 and 30% better than the FK2. FK2, great car, you know, you got the car's already kind of set up in the right way, limited slip diff, you know, sticky tires, good kind of steering, good gearbox for those that haven't had any gearbox problems. This car literally just takes the FK2 and builds on it. My opinion, and I've not read this anywhere, this is just purely my opinion, I think the FK2 was a prototype to this FK8, and what I mean by that is they built that car, they gave it a lease of about, say, a 2-year life, and then they knew that they were going to come out with this FK8, so they've kind of taken all that technology, they've kept the same engine, they've kept the same gearbox, just retuned it a little bit and put it into this car to make this, you know, a complete kind of a package, because it's got the independent rear suspension, it's got the 3 drive modes, and I think that's what they kind of built on. And obviously they made this a global car, which I'm not a huge fan of in that sense, because I think the FK2 is and still will be, you know, a future classic, because I think there's only, what, in the UK, about 400 of them maybe, whereas this is gonna, you know, the market's gonna be flooded with these come, like, say, 2-3 years time. They might do some runoff models in this, like every couple of years perhaps, like a Type R maybe, or, you know, a Type R maybe 350 or something like that with 350 brake. I don't know, you know, that's just me saying it. Would I recommend that you kind of trade your FK2s for the FK8? Unless you want the bragging rights of having the 3 kind of drive modes, you know, the rear independent suspension, I don't think you should really hurry. I think you should keep hold of your FK2s, because you're not going to notice a huge change. You know, the infotainment system is still a mess. You know, the driver kind of display here is a lot better than the FK2, no question about that. The rest of the drive, the engine's the same, the gearbox is the same. You know, limited slip diff, you know, isn't like a massive gain that you're getting from, like, say, the FK2, because that already had it. So overall, it's a personal preference. So guys, there you have it. That's my review and my opinion, my views on the FK8. I hope I've covered everything that you guys wanted to know about this car in terms of driving dynamics, the design, the interior, and the general feel of this car over the FK2. Hopefully, like, share and subscribe to my channel for more car content. And if there's anything that I might have missed or you want to know about, just drop me a comment below and I'll get back to you on that. Hopefully guys, see you on my next vid. Take care, thanks, bye.